What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Paul Theology's Daily Devotional, man, and we are going through the book of Exodus. Today, we're in Exodus chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. Exodus chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. So if you haven't read it yet, stop the text, see what it has to say, come back, and we're going to answer the questions, man. If you have read it, let me start by saying this: Trust in Jesus Ministries. We're going to help you trust in Jesus more by reading through the scriptures every day. And that's what we're doing, man. Daily devotional. Going through, reading, studying, understanding who God is through the revelation that he has given us, man. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. We are in, again, Exodus chapter 3. What's going on? What's happening? That's the first question we ask, man. What's occurring in the scriptures? Well, we head back to Moses. I think in the last episode we talked about how God sees his people. We went from Moses to the people of God who he sees and wants to get them out of the struggle and the slavery that they're in. And now we're back to how he's going to do it. How he's going to do it, man. It goes back to Moses. This is Moses is taking care of the sheep of his father-in-law. This is where it says Jethro instead of Ruel. And Jethro, I believe, means like high mighty, something like that, or his excellency. That's it. Sorry. His excellency. And so that dynamic between Ruel and Jethro is, I think Jethro may be his like honorary name because it says that he is a priest of Midian. But let's put that aside and let's keep going. What happens here is that Moses is taking care of these sheep, right? And whenever he's taking these sheep, he's grazing them. It says he drove them to this area and he came to this mountain, man, the mountain of God, Horeb. And when he gets to this mountain, he sees a burning bush that's not consumed, a flame of fire that is not consumed. And it says that the angel of the Lord appeared to him there. And so Moses is just chilling and he sees this burning bush. Now, think about it. Moses has been doing this for a while now. I think time has passed, quite some time, because a new Pharaoh has come up. And Moses has been in the wilderness a few times and kind of understands what's going on because he sees this bush. Sometimes I don't know if we understand or recognize what he sees. Because I really hadn't noticed, well, a bush that doesn't burn. Well, sometimes we see bushes burn and then they just ain't consumed anyway. It takes a little time for them to actually burn up. But this is in the wilderness where there's no water, no nothing, you know what I mean? And so it's like the tiniest little bush is popped up from nowhere and it's on fire. It should just quickly just flame up and then fade out. But that doesn't happen. And he's like, whoa, what's up with this? I think another thing as an angel of the Lord that we should discuss is because what does that mean? Well, the word is malak, and it really is either angel or messenger. And then it's built in a system, the Hebrew language, called a construct. And in a construct, a definite has to go with a definite. An indefinite has to go with an indefinite. And what that means is, like in English, you say the something or a something. When you say the, you make it specific. When you say a, it's just one of those things, like a bottle of syrup or the bottle of syrup. So it's this specific bottle or just any bottle. And so by definition, Yahweh, which is, it says Malak Yahweh, Yahweh is a proper name. And so it's definitive. It's definite. And so that means that angel is definite. And so it's the angel of the Lord. But also with this construct could be called a construct of apposition. An apposition, all that means is that it is a word that then names what it's describing. So it's the angel, not of the Lord. It is the angel who is the Lord. That could be a way in which this phrase could be rendered. I'm saying this because a lot of times we ask the question, who is the angel of the Lord? Is it just a messenger of the Lord? One who represents God in some way, form, or fashion? Or is it Yahweh himself? I think we may have talked a little bit about this when we went through Genesis, because this phrase, angel of the Lord, or Malak Yahweh, was used a couple of times when we saw Hagar, and then as well Abraham. And so in this particular instance, we find that the thing, he calls himself God, Elohim, when he's later on describing himself in regards to being in the flame or in the bush. And so all of this to say, one more thing about this angel of the Lord is that we see in John where he speaks and says that no one has seen God. And I think this helps to describe it, because God in his essence is so powerful, so marvelous, so great, that he presents himself in a way that he could be seen. And that's why I think that when it's messenger of the Lord, or angel of the Lord, or messenger Yahweh, is that this is his way of revealing himself in a way that humans can understand him. He presents himself in a physical, corporeal aspect. And he often does it in fires, especially in the Old Testament. But he did it supremely in Jesus, man. Is that he is manifesting himself in the form of a human in flesh. He tabernacled among us, man. And we read through that in John. So if you haven't checked that out, man, you can go check that out. But this is the way in which God can reveal himself to Moses without Moses just dying, because of of his holiness, of his wonder, of his magnificence. And so God reveals himself through this flaming fire. What's this say about God? I think it says that God gets on our level, man. He condescends to our level so that he can actually have a relationship with us, man. This shows the love and the intimacy that God desires to have. So much so that he would manifest himself in a way that we can see him. What's this say about man? Sometimes we consign to the roles that's been given to us. I know a couple of episodes ago I talked about how Moses was accepting his life here. He had a child, he lived. But now we see that he's taking a job. He's living life just as a normal guy. And to think about it, it says that he's tending his father's sheep, his stepfather's sheep, not his own sheep. And so Moses was gone from being in the palaces and the affluence, the richness of Egypt, and being the prince of Egypt, and now kind of being more of a house worker, because he's working for his father, his stepfather, or not stepfather, I'm sorry. He's working for his father-in-law. And so it's probably a bit, humbling for him to be in such a pedigree, and now he's where he's at. But he's accepting it, and he's trying to do the best he can in it. And so I think that's kind of says you can sign to your role. We can sign to our roles sometimes, man. But we're going to find out that those roles that we're consigned to are developing in us character and readying us for what it is that God has called us, because God has appeared to Moses to commission him. And so how do we apply these truths to our lives, man? I think we recognize that God desires to have this intimacy with us, man. And so let's do it, man. Let's find ourselves communing with God, because he desires to commune with us. Take the time now to listen to him, to hear his heart, to seek his face, to read his word. Man, let's do that, man. So if there's anything that's going on right now with you, man, take the time, stop, chill, relax, and hear the voice of God. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.